So hello and welcome to another Emm-Bee Motorhomes instructional video, where we're going to have a look here at the Elddis Evolution 196 on the 2019. So let's have a look at all the operationals and how we progress to use the vehicle. So let's start first of all under the engine bay. So just to open it up, at the passenger side we open the door, and I'll show you in a moment where the lever is. And then just hand in here at the moment, we'll pull that and you'll be able to pull up the arm so that you're secure. So these are just your fluids, just so you're important. Obviously the most important one that we tend to use are window wash, so make sure this is where we're filling up there. So now you don't really have access to the battery, so if you're in any position where you need to do a jump start, then you have here first of all your one connection and the other just down there at the bottom. So this will give you an aspect to where you are. Also you have access to your oil and your dipstick here down at the bottom. To get access to the engine bay, then we're going to pull the lever just here. It's quite standard on most vans, but this is where it is. As well as that, then we also have access just down here. This is on the passenger door where we can open up and we have access to our fuel just by pulling there, and our AdBlue, which should help. Just while we're in the cab, we can also see at the front that we do have the blinds that come across. To access them, all we need to do is to, on these two here, pinch them together as so, and we simply pull them across. Be careful with the operation, obviously they can be a bit delicate. You pull them all the way across and by magnetic slip they should connect together. This is also true here when you're pulling them back, and they'll clip back in position, and here on the side door as well, where they'll pull right the way across for you. This is true all the way through the cab, and I'll show you the window operations internally. Just as we move around the external side now of the vehicle, we'll have a look at all the various different hatches that there are, and then we will go into the habitation. So first of all, our first hatch after the passenger seat is simply a storage area. You'll notice that when we open this, that you'll have access under the seats. As we pull down that hatch here, we can see just inside. So you have got a storage space that is under the front lounge seats. In here as well, you have your external shower, and I'll show you where that fits. You also have a use for when you are looking to fill with your fuel and with your AdBlue. Bit further along as we carry on down the journey, we'll come just here. This is to our external barbecue point. So if there is any gas you wish to use here, then you'll be able to plug into that. You simply connect into the nozzle and then you turn the regulator following the instructions as required. Inside of the LPG unit here, we press both buttons, and inside there you have access to the unit that you are looking at. There's your regulator. You would connect your pigtail there, and you can get in here two good sized can gas setups for you. A bit further around, we have our bike rack here on the back. To be able to use the bike rack, it's quite simple. We simply pull the arms up, and then where we see these plastic clips here, we simply give this arm a really good tug. So I'll just set that up for you now so that you can see. As you can see, we've now pulled it down. This gives you the rest for 3, and up here of course are the arms which will connect to the bikes themselves, to their bodies, and you can simply pull them up and down, all 3 of them. Remembering when we're putting it back, obviously no bikes on there, we simply pull it all the way up, and here in the clips we just make sure that it's clipped in both sides quite firmly, and then pull the arms right the way down, and that will keep it secure whilst you are traveling. To the driver's side now, we have just here at the back the external shower point. I'll pull that up for you there. The shower that you saw in that compartment at the front, that's where you connect it. This is your water refill, and then just underneath there, if we drop down to the bottom of the body, you can see these 2 taps, and this is very important when you are filling. You'll notice that they do say open, open on both sides. So the blue is your fresh water, This is your drain for your grey water. That's the water that's coming out of the sink or coming out of the shower. They're on open at the moment, so if you were to fill them, the water would simply gush out at the bottom. You simply turn them now clockwise, and as you turn them round, you'll notice now that it says closed. And now you can fill up the unit, and you're going to be able to retain the water that you're looking for. Remember, in the winter period, to try and drain this down so that it's not left with lots of water, and because as the water freezes, that could cause issues within your system. So you want to reduce it down to no more than around about 20 litres. As we move a bit further on now, we get here to the cassette. This is for the toilet, for the wastewater. So this is quite a standard setup. You'll see it in most motorhomes. It's in there quite simply. To remove it, we pull the handle up and we simply pull the whole unit out. Once you remove the cassette out, it's now available for you to move out. You'll notice that the handle itself goes up and down. That's unclicked there, and that allows you to move it around the site to where you're looking for. On the top here, if I just drop it down so you can have a look, then you simply put the handles back in, as simple as that, and it'll be ready to go back. On the top you have this, which is your drain point. You simply turn it to the drain, you unclick this cap, which also, by the way, will maintain for your right ratio for pouring in your fluid in terms of what you're going to use for the toilet, and that will go in there where the blade element is. And then simply, when you are at your site where you're draining it, you tip it so that that is down the drain, and this button here you press, and what that'll do is it'll stop it splurting, it'll allow water to come in on the other side, and that will reduce coming out. If you need access to the blade, that's in here. You turn this switch here and you can get inside of the unit. And that's if you ever need to do a little clean. Once the cassette is ready, you then push it back inside of the unit, and you can simply shut the doors and make sure you lock the unit. Just moving a little further on here, we have our final storage compartment, and as we pull that down, that gives you access to your leisure battery, and this is also where you would use the charger. So if you're on a site, you need to plug it into that space there. You'll notice here that there is a space for the cable, so flip it round this bit and then stick it up into there, and then you'll be able to close this unit. And of course, the trick is always remembering to disconnect before you drive off. So let's go inside of the unit now and have a look at the control systems that we're going to need in here. So most of them are here by the door for you, and this will give you your setup that you need. So the most important one to press, of course, here is your power button. That's going to turn on all your lights and all other functions that you want to do. These buttons here, this is your light switch that will turn lights on and off, and this is your awning switch. You'll notice here that you've got buttons that are going to give you readings on your battery and on your water levels, which should obviously be reading quite low at this moment in time. Then we have our heating system here. So this is the cab and this is your water, and you simply press the ones that you want and turn it to the level that you want, and there you go, it is now on. Or we can have it running from the gas, or we can have it running a little bit brighter, and there you go, that gives it the whole strength. So it's off at the moment, and the same with the heating here. We can have it through the electric, through the gas, or through the gas and the electric. So at the front of the cab here we have our forward bedding system. So we have got, of course, the extra travelling seats. You'll notice there with the seat belts under both sides, and they will connect through to seat belt loops. It's very important when you're travelling that people are sitting correctly and they are measured in that space. Now this whole bottom does turn into a double bed, as well as having the electrical bed here that will drop down. To use the electrical bed, we have here a key function. So it is probably best from a safety point of view to make sure you remove the key, but when you're ready to use the bed, you simply turn it to the quarter past position, and then that is your up and down buttons. If we press the down button, you'll see the bed is now traveling down, and it will travel down to its maximum distance. There is a ladder, of course, on the top that's secured here in these sections, and we also have a safety netting which is connected into the top. You can leave the bed made, but obviously we would make sure that you are taking the cushions off. If you notice at the back, there's also a net set up at that side to make sure if there is anybody that's a roller in their sleep, they're not going to fall out of the bed. If we want to remove it or move it back up for the end of the day, we simply press the up button and it will go into its up position. So here we have the lounge set up as it is at the moment. The table is detachable, which you can then move, also creates part of the bed space. So this is how it is as a function. I'm just going to do it in parts now to show you how we remove it and get it ready. So just to highlight now, having removed the cushions for you, this is what it looks like here in the front lounge, and we are now in a position where we can create the bed space. The first thing we're going to do is to move the table. The best way to do that is if we notice we've got a leg here, we simply press this button down and we'll be able to move the leg. As we pressed it down like that, the leg will then go into a firm position. Now that is connected. Down here at the bottom, you'll notice that the latches are simply pulled up or down for security. We've pulled them up, and as we pull them up, the bed is ready to remove, and we can remove now this table. That's also useful if you don't want the table here when you are dining. Or equally, when you put it back, you make sure you put it on, you flip the table up like this, and the locks will come down. To create the first part of the bed space, we now simply place the table onto the two lips of the front seats. We then, over here, pull across, and this bed, as it pulls across, will create the other section of the bed. Now, if you notice, we've got quite a large bed set up here, and under there you can see where the storage was. So you will have access to it there if you do need to from the inside of the cab. I'm going to put the cushions on now and show you what the full bed made up looks like. As you can see, we now have a good bed space made up from all of the available cushions, and that is a bed that is needed reasonable sized. You can probably get quite a few people in there depending on their size. And now we've put the seats back. Before I put this cushion back, I do want to just show you that under this seat you do have access again to the leisure battery, but also to your fuse board. You simply depress this button here, you're going to be able to pull it down, and there you go. That is your fuse board. So should you have any issues at all, you can obviously just flick them. There may be some other fuses around, but this is your main fuse board. Moving now through the cab, we can see here the bathroom space on this side and the oven space on this side. Your hobs are as usual. You have 1 electric and 3 gas, as well then as your normal operation with your kitchen. Just to show you here on the fridge, this is obviously quite important, just so you're aware. This fridge does have what we call the dual fuel, or the 3 ways to be able to create for yourself in what you're wanting to use. So it's in the off position now. If you turned it to this position with a little electric plug, then what you're able to see is that you will have here use from the main socket, as that's connected to the site. You'll be able to use also for the leisure battery, or you can use from the gas system. So obviously you're wanting to check if you are on site, always try and use this for the most, but then you can use the others if so needed. Into the back then we have our space here, our rear lounge. Again, our access to the use of a table, as well as then the space that we can sit in. The space also turns into a bed. To be able to do that, you do the same thing on both sides, remove the cushions, and then simply pull out the whole unit. Will come halfway. The other side will do the same, and you simply place then the cushions back down over the top to create that space for you. You will notice underneath now that there are some electronical works as well. This is the pump area, which obviously is important for your usage. So we can lift it up once the cushions are off, and we can have a look underneath. So to activate the water pump, what we need to make sure that the water is coming through is making sure that this valve is turned in the on position, which it is at the moment. We twist it to that section, and then having set the water on and what fuel we're going to use, we would then run the tap in the sink, run it on the hot setting until it stops spurting and it runs a continuous stream. Once that continuous stream is working, then the water has purged all the air out of the system. We recommend you do the same in the shower and in the bathroom sink area, just to make sure that you have got all of the air out of the system and that we're ready for you to use. The final sections then to show you really within this is of course the fly screens and the vanity blinds that all of the windows have here inside the cab. To use the fly screen, we simply pull down the unit and it will connect in. If we want the vanity unit, we do exactly the same. We pull all the way down and it also will connect in. And there you go. You have now got the security. This is also true of your roof lights and of your other parts of the unit. So as we finally now enter into the toilet space, one of the important things that we need to know is how to use this particular piece of equipment if so needed. You'll notice as we lift the lid up here that there is a blade across the unit. To release this, we pull this handle right the way across, and now the toilet is available to use. That will empty into the cassette that we saw earlier, and you'll be able to empty. Once finished, if you close it here, that will stop any spills or movement when the vehicle is in movement, and any mess that you might want, which is not obviously needed in terms of the site. One of the positives as well with regards to that is then that will also stop smells in any way coming through. And you'll notice that there was a vent space as well. So that's a good look now at the model for us. These are all the things that we've got within the site. Hopefully that is giving you some information, but please have a look and come back to us. The awning on the outside, I will put a link as well to our awning video. Please make sure you have a look at that, and then you'll be able to see the whole Elddis in function.